This is the Surly Grognards for October 7th, 2014. This is Peter Bowman, and as usual, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
Doing all right. And Tachi,
Excellent.
yes, they're flying scimitars, which means they're cheating, so you can ignore everything they say.
Oh, that makes sense for the show. Right. So, we're going to be continuing Movie Month this week, which has nothing to do with starships and Star Trek
Tangentially.
Online and what have you.
There were Star Trek movies. They happened. They existed.
Yeah, but not the way we're talking about.
You're right. Nemesis never actually happened.
Also, we're talking about comic book movies this week. And while they very well may have made comic books about Nemesis, since they did it about virtually every other Star Trek movie,
Yes.
that doesn't count.
Yeah, the progression of mediums is the wrong way around there.
Yes, it is. So, we're going to be talking about superhero movies this week.
Yay, superheroes.
Just as a warning to our listeners, we got started a bit late. I had an unplanned nap that ran long, on top of it being unplanned. So I'm a little bit more out of sorts than usual today.
Great. Now who's going to keep us on track? Can't rely on me to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a scary thought, isn't it, Eric? So, superhero movies.
Yes.
I would say that they have long been sort of the one of those it's one of those genres of movies that for a long time was honestly generally complete and utter crap.
For a very, very long time.
I mean, you could go on about how there have been a lot of good fantasy movies and people don't take fantasy seriously, and people sort of and science fiction people took a bit more serious as a film medium after a certain point and so on. But there's always sort of people who look down at that also. But like superhero movies, I mean, come on, they're not good. They're never good.
For the longest time, that was true.
Yeah.
I mean, the friggin' Red Brown Captain America movie, like that one. I know I've seen that movie all the way through. I can tell you exactly how much I remember about it. Red Brown is wearing a friggin' motorcycle helmet. That's the extent of it. I don't even think there's an actual fight scene in it.
There might not be. Now, I imagine that a good part of this is because when you think about it, it'd be hard to do a superhero movie. I mean,
Well, the tech wasn't there for a long time.
right, exactly. But I mean, the second you start doing like decent science fiction, I mean, that sort of goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And they've been doing science fiction for a long time.
Well, they had you had the first two Superman movies, which were excellent.
Yes, but yeah,
Those are really the beginning of superhero movies being something other than complete ass.
well, yeah. I mean, I guess prior to
And they're
that,
the only examples for a very long time.
yeah, but I guess prior, I'm trying to think of how many superhero movies. I'm trying to think of other superhero movies other than the Superman, those two, the Donner Superman movies. I guess Roger Corman had the Fantastic Four movie that never got released.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know if that predates Superman or not. God. I guess, actually, I'm pretty sure that there was a Batman movie before Superman. Because there was a Batman movie based on the TV series.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's exactly what should be expected from that TV
From
series.
that TV series, yes.
Yeah, it was a campy, vaguely nonsensical mess that was obviously taking itself far too clever and irreverent to actually be a Batman movie.
Well, yes, I mean, it's based on...
It's fun, it's entertaining, I've seen it, but it's not a Batman movie.
Well, it's a Batman movie in the same way that that's a Batman TV show, and that was a Batman TV show. It's just not the same interpretation of Batman that you and I often think of, especially today.
No, this is true. It wasn't even really Silver Age Batman though, because it was just not once did he fight a robot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's its own campy thing, and it was a lot of fun. But I would actually argue that, despite as much as I do like the Adam West Batman series for its own on its own merits, that movie is not good.
Yeah.
I
Which
mean,
movie was this again? I'm sorry, I got distracted by Anglerfish.
uh, the Batman movie,
Oh, okay,
the
that
Adam
movie.
West Batman movie.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, we're totally on par today.
Wow, I'm the one who woke up from an unplanned nap, and I'm more on course than you are. Except I can't talk apparently.
uh, this explains exactly how well the show's going to go.
This is going to be an interesting episode, folks. Hold on, hold on tight. But no, seriously. Just trying to think of previous superhero movies prior to those, and I can't think of any off the top
there
of my
was
head.
there was a Spider-Man superhero movie, from the live action TV one.
Oh right.
I remember that, and even as a kid, going, "Wow, it's Spider-Man! Spider-Man's awesome." This isn't.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, prior to that, I mean, there was, of course, there's the old Superman TV series,
Right.
and I think they probably did some serials in the theaters prior to that, also.
I don't know. I've seen some of the old serials in black and white. They're actually pretty good.
Right. But after that, yeah, actually, those are decent. I mean, how do you go from that to nothing?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It wasn't until Tim Burton's Batman where things really started to pick up for the superhero genre, where they showed that you could do it with more than just Donner's Superman. And
Right.
even then, Donner's Superman series completely shat itself after two
Well, yeah,
installments.
that's because Donner was no longer involved.
Right.
Superman 3 was awful, and then there was Superman 4, which was even worse.
I keep on forgetting Superman 4 was a thing. The Quest for Peace.
Oh, lordy.
Oh, I completely forgot. Now I remember, and it's hilarious. That's how bad it is.
Yeah,
Not in an entertaining way, just the fact that it existed is that bad. Don't bother watching it. It'll
Oh,
be
lordy.
poured out of your skull.
it's just bad. Yeah, it's interesting. There have been a bunch of superhero movies that. Oh, actually, I wouldn't say a bunch of superhero movies, but I mean, superheroes have existed, on the small screen a fair bit during this period.
Yeah, you had the Incredible Hulk show,
Right?
which is great and classic. You had all the friggin' cartoons that were kicking around.
Yeah, and there have been a bunch of them over the years of varying degrees of competence.
Yeah, varying degrees of competence and enjoyment. Um,
Because
like
I mean, there was
Super Friends existed, and it's what I had to go with at the time.
yeah, and there was a
Uh,
Spider-Man series during that era. And there
oh,
was
Spider-Man and his amazing friends with
Iceman and
Firestar and
Firestar.
Iceman. That was actually pretty good. I remember.
I enjoyed it. I've not gone back and watched it since.
Neither have I. It's I'm sure I can find it on YouTube.
I'm sure I
But,
could too. I'm nearly certain it's going to be awful if I go rewatch it. But
yeah,
I liked it at the time. Uh, and there was, during these, Hanna-Barbera had a Fantastic Four series, which is, looking back at it, is dreadful.
yeah. Well, it was Hanna-Barbera, so the animation was ass.
Yeah. Oh, it was special. Things went along like that for a long time. But despite the fact that there was some successful and,
Underdog.
Underdog's a great example, actually. From
Underdog was awesome.
terrible animation, but,
Yes, but it was awesome.
but it was a lot of fun. It was really clever.
Underdog was like the epitome of Silver Age comics.
Yes, it was great. I really
I
going.
remember he fought clouds once.
He did.
Yes, he fought the Cloud Empire.
Oh God, Underdog was a wonderfully silly and
Played completely straight.
yeah, it was Silver Age nonsense done beautifully.
Yes.
Um, and it's about a talking dog, superhero with other talking animals and humans. It was very strange and a lot of fun, and should never have been made into a live action movie. That was awful.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why do you have to go remind me that existed?
Because we're talking
Peter
about
Dinklage sells out for another paycheck.
because this is what we're talking about today is superhero movies, and that is one. It's a bad one.
It's a terrible one. Why was that live action? Why would you make Underdog live action?
I don't know. That's the thing. It really gets me. It's like, why would you make that into live action? Just it makes no fucking sense. It's about a superheroic flying talking dog with other with other anthropomorphic talking animals. Why would you make this live action? This makes no fucking sense.
If I remember correctly, it came out during the whole superhero renaissance when it was getting started. Like Tim Burton's Batman at the time had finally shat itself because Schumacher took over and decided to drive it into the dirt.
Yeah. Although some of that apparently was from up top from the studios.
That doesn't surprise me. They're good at fucking. No, studios are good at fucking shit up.
Yes.
Sometimes directors need the studios to tell them no, or that's stupid, don't do that. And it's always weird finding that balance.
Yeah.
Any case.
But yeah, I would definitely agree that there was a lengthy.
But yeah, this is when X-Men was this is before X-Men 3 happened.
It was
When
before
the
X-Men
X-Men
3.
series was not terrible.
Yeah, it was before X-Men 3. It was definitely after it was definitely after I think all of the Batman movies.
Yes.
All of those Batman movies, before Nolan's.
Before Nolan recombobulated them.
Yeah, so, but yeah, there's this long sort of period where there were superhero cartoons and TV shows, but
And no movies.
But no movies. Like literally, there was just a period of like well over a decade of just nothing.
Yeah.
Like I cannot think of a superhero movie during the '80s
Neither can I.
outside of the Superman movies. Those were literally it, because those were happening during the '80s.
Even Burton's Burton's Batman was 86.
Yes.
No, it wasn't 86.
It was 80. I want
It
to
was
say
late 80s.
late '80s,
I want to say 89.
somewhere around there.
You know what? It's not important. Yeah, it's still ages of a superhero movie.
Right. So there just weren't that many of them, and a lot of them really just weren't that good. I mean, as I said, like Superman 1 and 2 were fine. They were good.
Yeah.
3 and 4 were
And then they
awful.
had Richard Pryor, who was shamefully underutilized.
That movie was
It's Richard
terrible.
fucking Pryor. Why isn't he doing more?
Because he was really bad at choosing roles, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, he was.
A lot of his movies are really not good.
You know what? Thinking back, I mostly remember him fondly for his stand-up.
Yeah, his stand-up's brilliant. His movies, there were some good ones. Trading Places was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
That wasn't Richard Pryor, though. That was Eddie Murphy. I'm awake.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's me being tired. I'm thinking of some other movie. God damn it! What other movie am I thinking of?
Oh, there is one where he's like a blind man doesn't realize he's black or something like.
That wasn't very good. No,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. No, I was thinking of Brewster's Millions.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Oh, that one's fun. Richard Pryor. It's a fun little movie. The basic conceit is Richard Pryor is a minor league baseball pitcher, and he's got a buddy who's his best friend on the team is played by, I think it's played by John Candy. At any rate, it turns out that he's like on one of the sides of the family, he's got like an uncle or something like that who's this rich old white guy, like it's a distant relation,
Right.
who's dying.
And leaves everything to him.
Leaves
right.
everything to him on one condition. And the condition is basically, he tells a story about how when he was caught smoking at some point. You know, the relative was caught smoking, and his dad basically locked him in a closet with a huge supply of whatever, and told him to smoke them all at once, basically. And it made him sick, and he never wanted to smoke again.
Right.
And so he wouldn't leave Richard Pryor's character the money, whose last name is Brewster, without teaching him a lesson about about how to not waste it, or something to that effect.
Oh, right. And he has to spend the $1 million.
He has access to $1 million, and he's got to spend it all in like 30 days. And but he cannot end up with he's got to end up with nothing except the shirt on his back at the end.
Right.
Otherwise, he loses it all. And of course,
Wait a minute, how is that teaching him a lesson about like how to manage money? Seems like the opposite.
well, that's the thing. Is it's supposed to be? It's much like the whole locking him his father locking him in the closet and making him smoke all these cigarettes to make him sick
Right.
of it.
Oh, it's supposed to make him feel sick about spending money.
Right.
Gotcha.
It makes no fucking sense. But it's a surprisingly fun movie, and watching him trying to spend money without actually hanging on to any of it is hilarious.
All you gotta do is go to Vegas.
Yeah, but there's a chance you might win.
No. He's got 30 days to just keep playing the odds. The house will always win on the long run. He's got 30 days is a long run.
There probably was some sort of caveat in that about that.
Anyway, we're totally not talking about superhero movies, which is the plan.
Yes, well, we were bound to have a divergence. So.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot, and then there's a whole bunch of really minor superheroes, like Blade coming to the... like Blade immediately leaps to mind, and like there are a bunch of others that were like...
And this all came out of the massive success of Burton's Batman movie. If that
Blade was late 90s.
Yeah, it was after Burton's Batman.
It's true.
If it wasn't even late 90s, it was early to mid 90s at the best.
You're right. It was like 96 because it was like 3 years before The Matrix.
Let me check when that came out. Actually,
Maybe it was the year before The Matrix.
I'm now confused when this came out.
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, you're right. It was late 90s. It was 98.
Aha! It was the year before The Matrix. I remembered that. Or rather, I remembered it correctly.
At any rate, so yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of sort of just bad, like there was a bunch of superhero movies that came out, and there were a lot of them weren't very good. I don't know.
Daredevil springs to mind.
Yeah, Daredevil leaps to mind. The Elektra.
Oh Jesus Christ! I forgot about Elektra.
Yep. The Catwoman movie with.
With Halle Berry. That was 2000s though.
But yeah, we're not just talking about the era when this came out. There's just that when people talk about superhero movies, they think of these just awful, just train wrecks.
Yes.
And and honestly, as much as I like some of these movies, they're not. Most of them are surprisingly not as good as you would think. Like you watch Batman. Burton's Batman movies are flawed.
Mm.
I mean, I really enjoyed the first Batman movie, but it had some flaws in it. It wasn't particular.
The second one is
more
visually very interesting, but it's kind of the plot sort of ambles around without making Bob congeal much. Exactly.
There are 3 of them.
Yeah, and none of them really congeal. The First, you're supposed to be sympathetic towards Penguin, then you're supposed to hate him, then you're sympathetic towards him, then you hate him, and it can't decide how it wants to portray the Penguin.
But it's not even just that. It's got Catwoman. It's got the Catwoman Max Shrek story,
Yep.
and then it's got the Penguin story, and all this is sort of stitched together in a weird Frankensteinian monster sort of way, and it doesn't really work.
It is, however, visually stunning, particularly for the time.
Oh, I agree completely. It's a gorgeous movie, and there are some fantastic performances.
And some great action scenes also.
Yeah, I mean, as always, Michael Keaton was really good as Bruce Wayne and was
Right.
decent as Batman.
The,
Michelle Pfeiffer was
as
amazing as
fucking
Catwoman.
amazing as Catwoman.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
she was great. Danny DeVito was really good as the Penguin, honestly, despite these stupid costume choices.
Here's the thing, like, half the time Danny DeVito's playing Penguin, like, I'd imagine someone would play Killer Croc.
Yeah, well, it's because the script really couldn't decide what Penguin was.
Yeah. Is he savage and animalistic? Is he, an outcast trying to fit in? Is he, yeah, what is he? I don't know, he's Danny DeVito
In a
frankly,
really,
amazing costume.
it's a really brilliantly done costume, but it just doesn't work for the Penguin, in my opinion. I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't quite work. I don't know. And Christopher Walken was great as Shrek. I mean,
I remember when the toys came out for that, and being really excited about like getting this like horrible little goblin penguin action figure, and it was something straight out of the '60s. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Thing is, decades later, I learned that Hasbro, which I think had the license, was pissed off to all fuck off about Penguin being so creepy looking. But they were caught up in it, and Tim Burton pretty much just like beat down any criticism with his penis, probably the right thing to do, during production. And so Hasbro was stuck with this toy line for Batman, for the second Batman movie, with a main villain that they couldn't use for fear of scaring kids.
right.
So yeah, and that's why Tim Burton wasn't allowed to direct a Batman movie again.
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, like as much as I really enjoyed the X-Men movies,
Well, the first two.
well, yes, honestly, the first one mostly for me. The second one was merely okay.
I liked watching. What I liked about the second one was it showed the X-Men and Magneto joining forces to fight a greater foe that threatened both of them. Which is something that happens in the comics a lot. Because they're both basically like have the same goals: the preservation and enfranchisement of the mutant species. It's just that Magneto's kind of a lunatic and way too militant.
Yeah, it's an okay movie, but it's not as good a movie as I thought. Like going back at it, the interesting thing is for a long time there were a lot of super movies that I was like, okay, this is actually I'm so fond of this movie because it's a superhero movie that doesn't suck.
Doesn't suck ass. Yes,
Right, that's the thing.
It was good enough, and that was the thing.
Right, and looking back at it, it's like that's sort of an unfortunate thing to think about. That like this genre of movie that I want to be good, and because I like comic books and I want to see a good comic book movie, a superhero movie. I like superheroes, but they're just and there've been a bunch of them. A bunch of them came out during this era, and so many of them there were a lot that were bad. Like looking at you, Daredevil and Elektra. Whoa. And
Yeah.
a bunch that were sort of okay, like X-Men, the Batman movies, Mystery Men.
Mystery Man was so much fun, though.
Yeah, but it's not a very good movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's fun. It's got some amazingly hilarious bits to it. But
Yes, it does.
it's more. But again, it's more of a comedy than it is a superhero movie. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, well, it's a comedy using superhero tropes.
yes, and that's fine. It's just not a great comedy, is the thing. That's the problem. Is it's structured? The problem is you look at it as you have to look at it from the standpoint of how you would structure a comedy. And from that standpoint, it's got some flaws.
Yeah, it's definitely structured much more as a superhero movie, in that you've got the characters and them trying to like, um, the structure is very similar to Avengers actually. You've got a bunch of established heroes who don't get along really well and don't necessarily have a lot of faith in each other, and there's a lot of squabbling, and then they eventually get together and kick some ass at the end
Yeah,
against the common foe.
it's just these are all like the Z
These
list
are all
heroes.
like D-list superheroes.
Yeah,
These are like the guys that look up to Moon Knight.
yeah. These guys look up to superheroes without superpowers. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
The Hellboy movie. Here's the thing. I really have fond memories of the first Hellboy movie. Like, I really like that movie. And then I go and watch it again. I'm like, oh yeah, Captain Bland is in this. And like his whole presence kind of, he drags down the movie while I'm watching it, and then afterwards I completely forget he's there. The normal human, like, who's being introduced to the whole wacky world of Hellboy.
Right.
The audience proxy character.
Yeah, the audience surrogate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then I go and I remember the movie. Is like, I don't remember him at all. He was completely unimportant and served no purpose. I got to watch Ron Perlman punch things with a giant stone fist.
Yeah.
And do an excellent portrayal of Hellboy, actually.
Oh yeah, he's the best part of that movie. The Hellboy movies are both fun, and they're
The
decent.
second one was definitely Del Toro just going completely batshit insane.
Yeah. The pacing in the second one is off.
The pacing, the pacing's bad in the second one. It's not just off; it's outright bad. But it makes up for it with some great performances all around.
Yeah.
And Del Toro, and them letting Del Toro off the leash with creature effects.
Yeah. Which is really cool, but there's just that movie was deeply flawed.
The second one, yeah.
Um.
I still love it to death. But yeah, no, there's no sugarcoating
There's
that.
this whole sort of morass of just like not that great superhero movies in that general era. And there's one sort of hidden gem in there that I honestly for a long time was my favorite superhero movie of all time. It was replaced eventually by another one, which has
Which one is this?
it's the one that everyone forgets is a superhero movie for a little while.
Oh, Unbreakable.
Yep,
Unbreakable is the best superhero movie of that era.
it's by and
And
far. It's not even close.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like
Absolutely.
And as much of a joke as M. Night Shyamalan's become.
Yeah, because he crammed his head so far up his ass he can friggin' taste his own tonsils.
Yeah. I mean, it's so far out his ass, it's almost coming back out the next dump. I mean,
Yeah.
the hell? Because you forget how he made some really good movies. The Sixth Sense is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. And I love Unbreakable. Unbreakable's a great fucking movie. The whole scene where the kid's convinced his dad's a superhero, and he's got the gun, and it's kind of hilarious and really disturbing at the same time. It's a fucking amazing scene.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just let me shoot him. He'll be okay. Put the gun down.
It's that movie is really good. It's got one minor flaw, which is the very ending with the Shyamalan twist, because every movie he does has a twist.
Yeah.
And it has one.
A twist. Yeah,
And it's not a bad. It's a good twist. It's just the dialogue at that bit there is just so not good. And I will say that Samuel L. Jackson does his damnedest to make that
sells it. He sells it like a motherfucker. But even he can't save that dialogue.
They called me Mr. Glass. I can't do the line justice because he salvages that line. It's just that line is so bad. It is such a badly written line. And somehow Samuel L. Jackson just makes it not completely laughable. But yeah, so for those of you who have not seen Unbreakable, the basic premise is this is a world. It's basically the normal world, and there's this guy.
Bruce Willis.
Play,
That's his name.
but yeah, the Bruce Willis's character. No, but he's not the one I'm talking about. Samuel L. Jackson's character is this uh, guy.
He's a collector. He's an art collector who deals specifically with comic art.
With comic art, and he's got a degenerative illness that basically makes his bones unbelievably fragile. I forget the name of it. It's a real.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
It's a real condition.
So like he just like he's and so he's just like he's just been keeping an eye on things, and he basically notices that there's this horrible train accident that
Kills everyone except for one dude.
One person who is completely
unharmed.
Right, who's completely unharmed, which is Bruce Willis's character. And so he postulates, well, he basically thinks that Bruce Willis actually could be an actual he could have superpowers.
He could be my opposite. He could be invulnerable.
Right, so he basically spends time trying to convince him that that's what he is, and Bruce Willis is like, yeah, no, I'm just a normal guy. I'm a security guard.
Yeah,
at the local college football stadium. I'm nobody.
And the thing is, he some of the Glass's arguments is starting to ring home. Like, there's this one bit where he goes in and has a conversation with his boss. Like, hey, do you remember the last time I was sick? I took a sick day. Okay, I get the point. You never take a sick day. What do you want, a raise, a vacation? So I've never taken a sick day. Not in the 20 years that you worked here. I get it. You're a good worker. What do you want?
Yeah, there's all these wonderful little scenes with him, and he's it's just this, and a lot of it's just really this quiet sort of storytelling about about Bruce Willis's character's life.
Yeah,
his marriage is falling apart. But they both, the parents. I mean, they've got a kid. They both adore the kid, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do.
Right.
They have this they're like, maybe we're gonna get a divorce, maybe we won't. Maybe we should try separation because the wife's got a job opportunity somewhere else, and
right, and he doesn't want to leave his job as security guard because he's good at it. Strangely enough, because he's a superhero. Yeah. and they
yes, because it turns as they slowly reveal that he actually does have all these minor powers. He's basically, I mean, the movie's aptly named. He's basically unbreakable. He can't be hurt. He's sitting there. And he's taught to, he starts shooting down he tries to shoot down these arguments. He's just trying to get this guy to leave him alone because Sam Jackson's character will not leave him alone
because he's insane.
Yes, it turns out. And Bruce basically eventually brings up the fact that it's like, okay, well, I nearly drowned when I was a kid, and Sam Jackson's like, wait, well, if you nearly drowned, then that means you're not completely invulnerable. Wait a minute, superheroes have weaknesses. Your weakness is that you can't swim.
God damn it! Shut up, Sam.
And if you haven't watched Unbreakable, do so. It's just this wonderful.
It's a great movie.
It's an origin. It's one of the best origin stories, superhero origin stories I've ever seen. It's just this. It's really well done. It's just the very ending's a little sort of the very ending is very M. Night Shyamalan-y. Let's just put it that way. Oh God! But so for a long time, that was not like long, but for a long time that was pretty much definitively for me the best superhero movie I'd ever seen.
Yeah. Then the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies came out, which I really like, except for the third one.
They're fine. They weren't better than Unbreakable.
No, they weren't better than Unbreakable. Huh? 2 is pretty damn good. I really like 2. I know you've got a huge bug up your ass about Terry Maguire.
It's not even just Tobey Maguire. It's not even just that. That movie is not actually a good movie, Eric.
No, it's got friggin' Dr. Octopus being fucking awesome. Shut up.
Dr. Octopus is a lot of fun, but the rest of that movie isn't actually a good movie. It is a flawed, deeply flawed movie with a
Yeah, we're talking about
fantastic.
superhero movies. We're talking pre-Marvel hegemony superhero movies.
Yes, and
Yes.
that doesn't. But that doesn't change anything. It's still not. It's still not better than Unbreakable as a movie.
No, as a film, Unbreakable is pretty damn good.
It's not better than that as a movie or as a superhero story. Unbreakable is a better superhero story and it's a better movie with better acting performances across the board. Alfred Molina is fantastic,
Yes, he absolutely is. I'm just saying, I really like superhero.
and that's
Spider-Man
fine.
too.
I have no problem people you enjoying it as a movie.
Objectively, yes. Obviously, Unbreakable is a better movie.
That's just my point. It's just that it is a much more flawed movie than a lot of people give it credit for.
But one has pseudo-sapient cybernetic tentacles.
Which is very silly,
Yes.
even for superhero movies.
Well, it is Sam Raimi. There's a reason why I like his movies.
And I don't get me wrong. There's a lot about. I when I saw that movie in the theater, I really enjoyed it. I just can't rewatch it because I just do not like Tobey Maguire's performance at all as as uh, as Peter Parker. I hate him. I'm watching. I watch it. I was watching. When I said I tried rewatching it when it was on TV, and just as his performance, the way he's portraying Peter Parker at the beginning of the movie, made me change the channel. I literally couldn't get through the first 15 minutes of the movie.
He's totally like,
He's the epitome of the sad sack, everything sucks Peter Parker.
yeah.
And that gets really, and there's just something about the way he does it that I find grating.
No, and I understand that. A lot of people have issues with that. And I'll say this: Tobey Maguire does a better Peter Parker than he does Spider-Man.
That's the depressing thing is I prefer him as Spider-Man. I hate him as Peter Parker. Hate.
Yes, but you hate the sad sack Spider-Man, like almost pathologically.
No, I don't hate this. I hate the level to which they take it in the movie, but it's not that I hate the sadness of it and the everything sucks, his life sucks thing. It's the way he portrays it in particular.
Okay.
It's not just that, Peter Parker's life sucked thing. I got tired of that in the comic books because it's gone on too long and the character hasn't grown. And he had started growing, and then one more day happened and rebooted everything because fuck me, screw you, Joe Quesada.
Yeah, Joe Quesada.
So, anyways, yeah, it's been At any rate, so I would agree that the Spider movies the first two are solid. They're fun.
Yes.
They're both flawed.
The third movie is clearly Sam Raimi, like, bowing to studio interests, because the studio's like, okay, so what's your plan for a movie? Well, I'll do Vulture and Sandman. That's stupid. Do Venom. I really don't like Venom, guys. Well, you're gonna do Venom. Okay, but can I have Vulture and Sandman in here? Well, you should do Goblin too, also. But in fact, get rid of Vulture. Who cares about old guys? But that's too much shit. Well, you got to do it. Fuck you, Sony.
Yeah, I was actually somewhat interested in Spider-Man 3 until I heard Venom was involved.
Well, here's the thing: if I could trust anyone to do Venom, it was Sam Raimi, because he's got the right kind of gonzo sensibilities that could make Venom really interesting. Except he turns out Sam Raimi really doesn't give a shit about Venom.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Wait, no, I'm not.
I really like the idea of Venom as a thing, like as an anti-Spider-Man, having both the hatred of a constantly vanquished rival in the form of Eddie Brock, and what is almost a jilted lover in the symbiote, all combined into something that like both mimics and perverts his own capabilities.
Right. And here's the thing: you could do something with that, but you need more than one movie to set it up.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and yeah, like, even visually, like Venom's just a beautiful like foil for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's all whipcord thin and agile, and Venom's this huge hulking brute.
Right, and so so that's the big problem. That's the big problem I have with that Spider-Man movie is that it's. I didn't watch it because I was like, oh, Venom. Well, they're not going to handle this well in one movie, so fuck it. Also,
Yeah,
I'm sick to death of Venom at this point. I just burn out on the character. I'm like,
I don't blame you. He was
everywhere.
overexposed. Yeah, particularly in the '90s, he was fucking everywhere.
At least it isn't Carnage.
At least it isn't Carnage.
But wait, Venom isn't extreme enough. The
I know.
fuck?
Let's take Venom, an interesting foil for Spider-Man, and then strip all the interesting aspects of him out and bond a psychotic version of the symbiote to a psychotic version of Eddie Brock, who all they want to do is stab things.
Did we really need
Yeah,
this
that's
character?
great as like a video game end boss.
No, not even that. It's just Carnage is not a character. He's a ugh.
Here's the thing: you can do a bad guy as a force of nature, but Carnage is even that.
No, he's just terrible.
Yeah,
Just a terrible, terrible, terrible. He's not a character. He's just a thing. Oh God, I hate him. Ugh. At any rate, honestly, but I do think that during this era, after Unbreakable, there's a lot of sort of okay superhero movies.
and then
Okay,
you
to
have
not.
Fantastic Four and the Halle Berry Catwoman.
Oh my God, and they are so bad and so not. They're just.
How do you fuck up Doctor Doom that badly?
How do you fuck up a Catwoman movie that badly? I mean, really?
Why does Catwoman have like mystic cat powers from Egypt, and why is her enemy cosmetics mogul who's also super strong and invulnerable? And
Yeah, you think about it. Okay, a Catwoman movie. What would this movie be? It's a movie about. It should be. It should be effectively a heist movie.
yeah, it should. That's exactly what it should have been. I heard Catwoman movie. I'm like, awesome. It's gonna be like a really cool like cat burglar heist thing. Probably playing like cat and mouse against the cops before Batman shows up. And yeah, that'd be really awesome.
That would be amazing. That would
Yeah,
be
that
a
would be
great movie.
Yeah, I can buy Halle Berry pulling that off. What is she wearing?
Yeah, her costume is awful. On top of that, it's just like, well,
Leather
what?
pants and a bunch of straps and like a domino mask with cat ears or some bullshit.
Oh my God, I thought that. Oh God, I didn't watch Catwoman in the theaters because
Oh no, I did catch it one time.
I caught it on TV.
I didn't see it in the theaters. No.
Whew!
Wow, it was terrible.
I thought that the worst one I'd seen of that sort of general era was Daredevil. No, 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 no,
No,
no.
it was Halle Berry's Catwoman.
That Daredevil is a paragon of cinematography compared to Catwoman. Oh my God. Ugh. But so, there's this period of time where all this happening, and then out of nowhere, Pixar does The Incredibles,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, well, all right then. And this is also after I believe The Incredibles came out after the Ang Lee Hulk movie. Let me double check that quickly.
There's a lot of things I like about the Ang Lee Hulk movie.
Yep.
And there are a lot of things I absolutely despise about it. And neither really cancels the other out. It's more like they can't coexist at the same time. It's weird.
All right, yeah, Hulk came out before The Incredibles. It came out the year before.
Right.
As
Yeah, there are a lot of things I like about the Ang Lee Hulk movie. I really like I like what's his name? I can't remember the
Eric
actor's
Ben is really good as Bruce
Yes,
Banner.
yes, as Bruce Banner. He does a great job. A lot of the stuff with the Hulk, if you look past the terrible, lazy CG.
The CG for the Hulk himself isn't bad.
There are a lot of shortcuts they take that once you spot them, you can't unlook them.
That I don't doubt.
And it bugs me more because I'm a big animation buff.
Right. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's not perfect, but it was about as at the time I was surprised at how good it was.
Yeah. I actually a lot of people complain about the like the different the panels on the screen. I actually really liked that.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a great way of showing the roots, the honoring the source material is the phrase I'm looking for.
Right.
And it's just a visually interesting and unique way to do so. I know a lot of people found it confusing and headache-inducing, but I didn't.
I can sort of understand that.
Yeah,
But yeah, so you've got
and it's got this great ending where like Hulk's like just come down in San Francisco Bay and he's rampaging through, and he comes to Betty sitting there and she calms him down, and he starts shrinking down in the Banner, back into Banner. You see just the water shedding off him, creating this big pool around him, and then it goes on for another 20 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Or maybe even an hour. I don't even remember.
No, it's about 25 minutes or so after that. I can't defend the ending of that movie.
No,
I have
a fight with the Absorbing Man, who is for some reason Bruce Banner's father, who also doesn't actually take a real human form. It's just like he's a storm cloud, and now they're like jumping around through the sky for some reason, and now there's what?
Yeah, I got nothing. Nothing for the ending of that movie. It was just dumb as fuck. Hated that. Ugh. I want to like that movie more than I do, but it's so flawed.
Even the friggin' like squig dogs they stick on them are kind of fun. It's kind of a fun, interesting thing.
Oh, the gamma mutant doggies.
Yeah, squig dogs, because that's what they are. They're squigs from Warhammer Fantasy, just with like little dog bodies stuck on the end.
Terrible.
Because they're just basically just jaws and teeth.
Oh God. So yeah, but yeah, The Incredibles is
Well, what
wonderful.
the Incredibles did was they did a 007 60s era spy movie just with superheroes.
You know what the most amazing thing about that is? Actually, looking it up now.
What's that?
So yeah, it's I mean, The Incredibles is basically an homage to the Fantastic Four comic books in large
Oh, absolutely.
ways, and to comic books in general. And they sort of grabbed sort of a Bond-style plot for it and all this stuff. The most amazing thing about this is the Fantastic Four movie we were both lambasting came out after it,
Yeah.
the year after it.
Like, really, guys.
Now, it was probably in production when The Incredibles came out.
Yeah, they almost
So they really
certainly
couldn't
already
have-
had the script and everything.
They couldn't have fixed it, but
Hell, Syndrome was a better Doctor Doom than Doctor Doom was.
yes, he was. Syndrome's a great villain.
Yeah, Syndrome was awesome. That whole movie is awesome. Much like a Pixar, it's a Pixar movie from their heyday. It's a big pile of awesome and heart and kick ass.
It was a great movie. And then you move on, and then Marvel released their
Iron
Hulk
Man.
movie, I believe.
No, they did Iron Man first.
Did they? Okay.
Iron Man definitely came first. Iron Man was the birth of the Marvel era. Because that was also
Well, they both came out in
Downey
2008.
Jr.'s big comeback. Because they never would have gotten friggin' Ed Norton, who was at the height of his career, if Marvel hadn't already had a couple hits under their belt.
Okay. They came out within months of each other.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Iron Man came out the 2nd of May 2008, and The Incredible Hulk came out on the 13th of June.
Really? I could have sworn there was something between Iron Man and the Hulk.
Nope.
Huh. Well, anyway, yeah. Iron Man was sort of the birth of the whole Marvel era.
Yep. So the Iron Man came out, and it was fantastic. It was like, wow, this is a really fun movie.
Yeah. And it's one of the better origin stories that we've seen.
No, it was a great superhero movie. And then after that came the Incredible Hulk. It turns out, and that was a step
which I
down.
also liked.
I'm not as big a fan, but it's
I
a
also what I really like about it, as part of its setup is it doesn't bother with the origin story. You know how where the Hulk fucking came from.
yes,
You you've been part of popular culture your entire life. You know the story with the Hulk. What instead it deals with Bruce Banner both on the run and dealing with being the Hulk and finding different ways of controlling it. And then the plot gets going when he discovers someone might have figured out a cure and trying to get back in the States to get the cure.
hmm. So yeah, but yeah, Marvel Studios started releasing a whole bunch of these movies over time. At
Yeah,
the same time, DC was doing
doing
the Nolan
their
Batman
Nolan
movies.
Batman movies, which are great. I really like them. I'm not a big fan of the last one. The first two are really good.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, you've heard everyone's heard my sort of take on them. I've we've talked about this before. I
yeah,
think they're fine movies. They're just not very good Batman stories.
I don't know. The second one's a pretty damn good Batman story. I mean, a lot of the subtext makes my skin crawl. That doesn't stop me from enjoying the movie. Um, like holy crap, that movie's a big freaking like yay privatized spying on citizens in order to prevent terrorism. That is a thing that we should endorse. And that just makes my skin crawl. But the movie's fucking great.
I liked the Dark Knight. I did like that one. Um, but as I said, there's just a certain level of heart that's missing from all of Nolan's movies, which is not a
I can
surprise.
see
They're
that.
Nolan movies. I mean,
Yeah, I can see that criticism. He's much more comfortable with intellectual pursuits. Memento comes to mind, which is a great
mhm.
big pile of craziness. Um, but yeah, there isn't a real huge emotional attachment. In fact, the emotion he does a great job of conveying the primary emotion that the protagonist feels throughout it, which is confusion. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. And the last one, like, I did not like the last one. I'm going to be honest. Bane was Bane was silly. Um, the the whole idea of a big populist uprising against an obviously corrupt system is a bad thing because the rich, out of touch white man will come and save us. Yeah, the subtext in that one is no longer subtext. It's right on the face, and again, it just makes my it makes my skin crawl. I can't get past the subtext. By subtext, I mean surface text.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and and then there've been the more recent stuff that's come out. I mean, we both adore both the Captain America movies
Yeah, they're both great fucking movies.
and
The Thor
the
movies are lots of fucking fun. The second one's missing a middle, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying the fuck out of it.
well, I haven't seen the second one, but the first one was
Right.
also missing a middle.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. The first one was missing a middle. And they're really just they're not. Here's the thing about the Thor movies: they're not trying to be good. They're trying to be fun, and they do that in spades. Um, you don't agree with me, but whatever.
Uh, yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
Iron Man 2, I wasn't too fond of either. More because it felt kind of disjointed, and Mickey Rourke seemed really kind of wasted in that role. Um, like, the Whiplash was just not a very well portrayed villain. There's a lot of different things you could have done with him, and they just sort of didn't do any of them. Or
Yeah,
rather, they tried to do all of them, but only succeeded in being like quarter-assed in each of them.
right. Yeah, I didn't like Iron Man 2 much. I still haven't seen Iron Man 3. I keep meaning to.
Um, Iron Man 3 is very divisive. I love Iron Man 3.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. It is. Yeah. Um.
I thought it was a great. I could go into it, but I don't know how many people haven't seen it, and you guys have had it spoiled by now. You must have. It's impossible to have it spoiled. Okay, here's the thing. I love that, like, the first half of the movie, the Mandarin is like a completely on the nose representation of American fears and anxieties about foreign policy. He is a weirdly Asian fixated Middle Eastern guy that blows stuff up and seems smarter than all of us, and all this other stuff that we can't get a hold on. And he's just a perfect avatar for all of those things, to the point where he's suspiciously good at it. It turns out, yeah, he was totally just a red herring. And I thought that was fucking awesome. Like the fact that, like, yeah, he was a complete construct for the real villain. I thought that was beautiful comment about mass media in general. Honestly,
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I haven't seen it yet, so I really can't comment on that one.
right? Yeah,
Um.
you've already had that spoiled like 10,000 times.
Oh
You've
yeah, I
heard
knew.
me
Oh
and
no, no,
Chris
no.
argue about the movie.
I've heard many people talk about that, so I've known about it for a while. Um. I also, and the Avengers also came out, and we both loved that movie to
Yeah,
pieces.
the Avengers is a giant victory lap for Marvel because they did what no one thought was possible, which was a real ensemble superhero movie where everyone got a chance to shine equally, and it worked, and it made all of the money ever, and now everyone's trying to jump on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm. And then Man of Steel came out, which I still have not seen, and I'm very thankful I have not, because it's not on Netflix, so I can't watch it.
Man of Steel. How to completely miss the point of Superman.
Yes, well,
Here's the thing, I'm not even that huge a fan of Superman, but I am offended by the way that they completely missed the mark. This is a film that whose there is no joy. There's no the film is completely joyless.
hmm
The color palette is muted and washed out for the vast majority of it. And the times when it should be a big bright embracement of, like, the overall goodness that should be Superman, it goes even darker and browner and grayer. And Superman doesn't actually fucking save anyone in the movie.
yeah,
He's
well,
Superman. He's supposed to fucking save people, not punch Zod. I mean, punching Zod, awesome. It was great watching him, like, have an actual superhero fight against an equal opponent. But it's completely tainted by the fact that Superman doesn't once lift a finger to save anyone.
right. So,
And then he goes and kills Zod in the end, which I'm kind of mixed about.
yeah, I can get why someone would be mixed about that. Why people are mixed about that. I get why people are mixed about him killing Zod at the end. Um, as I've mentioned before, I'm against Superman killing for the very simple reason is that once
Why
that
wouldn't you do it
boundary
all the time?
that
Yeah,
once that boundary is crossed, all his problems are really easy to solve.
yeah. And the problem is, I can think of 10,000 solutions that just with the powers displayed in that movie that he had shown during that fight, he could have done without killing Zod.
Right.
And yeah, and at the same time, I really respect the sheer ballsiness of the move by the filmmakers. It kind of misses the point, but it's a nice little, yeah, you thought you knew Superman, haha, now he's gone and killed somebody, ha! It doesn't show a lot of respect for the source material, but it does show a considerable amount of cojones.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to respect that.
Yeah.
It still completely misses the point of the character, and it's kind of a betrayal of everything he stands for, and the heavy-handed overall symbolism, the whole thing about Superman being Jesus, and
Yeah.
yeah, we get it. Superman's a savior figure. You don't need to beat us over the head with it every time he's on fucking screen. um, and yeah, Pa Kent was just the worst character I'd ever seen on screen. Another character that they completely missed the point of. As a friend of mine says, Clark, just remember one thing. What is it, Dad? Keep killing kids.
All right. So we've covered basically all the super movies out to date. I think, at least the ones I'm aware of.
I think so. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy isn't really a
Oh,
superhero movie.
yeah, I haven't seen that yet. So
It takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's not really a superhero movie. It's a complete like space opera romp, and
yeah. But anyway, the
and
reason I
fun.
mentioned that is I think I want to sort of tie this back to gaming before we wrap things up.
Mm,
And I sort of we've been going over, we sort of just been talking about movies we've liked and sort of the history of them. Really, we're not really doing movie critiques because that's not what either of us really do per se.
I went off pretty hard on Superman there.
Well, yes, but I do think there are some things that you can find that are sort of commonalities between the ones we've liked and the ones we've not liked, and and how you can use this to apply them to storytelling in games in general. I would say that a large part of it is that the ones we've liked for the most part generally are stories about heroes who are trying to help people.
Yes,
As a general rule of thumb, and I think that's sort of one of those things that I think a lot of superhero movies sort of don't quite get.
the hero is part of superhero.
Yeah,
That's an important part.
right.
They don't necessarily have to be directly helping people, but they have to be standing up for a a code of behavior and values that they're willing to fight and even die for. That isn't necessarily easy to follow.
Right. I think one of the most telling things in sort of comparing, although I haven't seen Man of Steel, but I've read all the complaints about it and such. And the big thing is the Superman basically doesn't say, like the final battle in Metropolis where it's just the Superman and Zod are fighting and destroying buildings left and right, and that's all Superman does. Like they do. They if someone gets slammed into a building, it collapses. They keep fighting. Whereas if you look at the Avengers during the battle in New York City, all of them take time to save civilians.
Yes.
Like,
Even Hulk.
yes! Like, you're seeing, like, Hawkeye, rescuing people from a crashed bus, and he's, like, directing them to get to shelter and such. And Captain America's directing, the cops into rescue efforts and such. And it's just like,
Yeah. Um.
and then you have Superman not saving a single person.
Okay. Minor spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy. In the big climactic fight, there's a big fight over a civilized world, and the bad guys are ramming ships and missiles into a city. Rocket Raccoon is part of the assault on the bad guys, and he's basically a fighter. And what the psychotic bounty hunter and burglar uplifted raccoon stops and get dogfighting, positions himself over a relief center, and shoots up at the missiles until people can relieve him.
Right.
He does more to save people than fucking Superman in the entirety of Man of Steel.
And I think that's sort of little lessons like that, and like little details about what superheroes mean. And superheroes are often they're often allegories
Yeah.
for various. It's that's the thing about the superheroes about comic books as a general rule of thumb is the thing you have to remember, this is actually sort of just a general piece of advice, I think, for people telling stories and such, is that a given story can be about more than what it's about.
Yes.
And that was, I expressed absolutely brilliantly during the foreword to the one of the compilations of Astro City comic books that Neil Gaiman wrote.
Surprise, surprise! Neil Gaiman being articulate and insightful.
Right, and that was sort of one of the things he brought up was that that a story something can be about more than what it's actually about. So the Avengers is more than just the a story about a group of heroes getting together to save the world. It's
Yeah.
also about a lot of different things. People overcoming their initial distrust of each other.
Every Avenger is in some way an outsider and outcast, and
Right.
finding companionship and camaraderie amongst other outsiders and outcasts.
Right. It's about sort of the
Except for Thor, who's really just the foreign exchange student going, "Hey guys, what's up?"
right. It's just there's this it's the coming together of people with very disparate backgrounds. It's about sort of the failings of I'm trying to figure out how to phrase. It's sort of about the sort of not. It's about not bowing to fear. There's that whole disparate that whole scene where Loki's monologuing to the crowd in Germany and Captain America shows up.
Yes, and then though the one old German remains standing is like, "No, I remember this shit. I'm not doing that."
That I love that scene.
Yeah, that's
Love
a
it.
great scene. Yeah, there's a lot to love about the Avengers.
But my
Very
point
little
is that there's a
yeah.
lot of sort of layers of storytelling, and that can apply to role playing games too. Is what my point
Yes, absolutely.
is that you can look at sort of the stories you tell, and they don't just have to be just about one thing. And characters can have just it helps to have the big thing is that it helps to have like a big sort of central basic concept, and then expand out from that.
Yes, that's actually how a lot of my characters develop. Is I have a basic idea of their personality, and other little foibles and stuff get glommed on.
Right. So yeah. Trying to think of exactly any other ways to tie it back, other than just take a look at the movies we've talked about that we've liked. If you enjoy watching these movies, and just sort of look at them in ways to draw ideas for things that are not superheroes, because they adapt really well. Like a lot of, as we said last time, a lot of these stories can be adapted to a lot of different genres.
Mm.
I mean, the Avengers really is the tale of assembly. It's a story about assembling a group of disparate specialists for an important mission. That can be applied to almost anything. I mean, that's it's Mission Impossible in the superhero world to a large degree, except that
Yes.
the Dirty Dozen, because it effectively turns into a war movie at the end
Yeah.
because there's a big invasion. So so yeah.
There's and like we've said many times before with regards to games, feel free to steal from the greats.
Yeah, absolutely. At any rate, we did get an email question which I want to touch on because it's sort of
Oh, cool, awesome.
It's a lengthy email, so I'm gonna have to summarize some of it. But this is from Matt Jones, and he says, "Dear Peter and Eric, I'm a new game master running an Iron Kingdoms game. Cool.
Good choice.
While at times I feel like I've bitten off more than I can chew, my players say I'm very good at it, and thankful that someone finally volunteered to run a game." That sounds really familiar to me for some reason. Your campaign has been very helpful for me because I now have an example on session structure and how the game is played. My campaign is somewhat similar to yours, but going for a more Cold War spy type game between Signar and Kador, with the player's mercenary company caught in the middle. Okay, I love that idea.
That's a great idea. That's a good setup. That's a great setup, actually.
All right, so but that's not the reason he's writing this email. It's a question in regards to supplements in the No Quarters issue 52 in particular, which gives the Iron Head.
Ah, yes, a career I really want to play, but I haven't had the opportunity to.
So he's got a player who came with an idea to, since the arcane mechanic can take the Iron Head career, take the Iron Head ability.
Yes.
He was thinking his character is an arcane mechanic warcaster, and he was thinking about taking that. Iron Head's ability, and to make this work, he wants to basically add an arcane turbine and craft the runes that make Warcaster armor work, which is the same for all Warcaster armor.
Right. Oof.
So, and then he's basically, so with the 3 left rune points, he wanted to negate the defense modifier to 0 by adding 3 compensated runes. I don't think that's technically legal because I don't think you can have more than 5 rune points on any given armor piece of equipment.
No, you can't.
So, the compensated runes. Also, I don't think you can have more than one of any given rune on a piece of equipment either.
I don't think you can either.
So,
but you can't. There are Ironhead specific upgrades for the suit that would allow that.
But yes, the extra rune points from the turbine, you couldn't have more than the runes that are built into it. The bond.
The reason why the turbine has 8 rune points is so that it can power other stuff.
Right.
Like maybe if you say wanted to like put have a mechanica weapon and just but instead of having the an accumulator in there, just plug it into the suit.
Right. But so just as an aside, so does that also, you can't have more than any one of any given rune in a piece of equipment, so having 3 compensated runes is also not legal.
Yeah. Good try, though.
Yes. I mean, it's just one of the things that I could fully understand just missing.
Yes.
All the modifications ignore the integration failure stable, which keeps this class under control. This player wanted to do most of itself by sacrificing key abilities with full Iron career so the rest of the group can play what they want. While the player will be paying for it, both time and money. Being a player in other games taught me to never underestimate them. Yeah, right. So being a player in other games taught me never to underestimate them when they get tunnel vision. So my nutshell, my question is it legal to jury-rig the armor into Warcaster armor? The Iron Supplement clearly states what upgrades the suit can have, and Arcane Turbine is not one of them. But the mechanics section of the core rulebook says that you can fabricate/retrofit mechanica versions of weapons, items, and armor as long as there's a power source, housing, and a rune plate that it can work. That it has a rune plate, it can work. Overall, it doesn't say the player can, but it doesn't say he can't either. I feel this is broken but legal, and I want to put your opinions on the subject before I release these gremlins in our poor mechanics workshop, and I really don't want to. I feel it's unfair to punish the player for being smart and resourceful, but I feel that something needs to be done before it gets out of hand.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's busted as all hell, but there's actually precedent. There's precedent in the world for it, with Darius in the tabletop.
Yeah.
It's busted as all fuck off though. Like he's prohibitively expensive. Like he could buy a suite of heavy warjacks, like a pair of them, for what he'd be paying.
Yeah, so it'd be prohibitively expensive monetarily.
I'm inclined to disallow it for a couple of reasons. One, that character quickly becomes the star of the show as soon as he gets this. He's going to start stealing the show in combat and outside of combat, because everyone's going to have to work around the fact he's wearing 8 feet of steam-powered stompy armor.
Yeah.
Which would be fun if you started out with it, and there are ways that, because everyone would be aware of what's going on. But, yeah. There's no way you're sneaking in freaking Ironhead armor. Just the steam engine alone is going to announce you to everyone within a block.
Yeah. Yeah, my gut feelings is probably strictly by the speaking. It is not clear whether it's allowed by the rules.
Now, if he wanted to Yeah, I probably wouldn't allow him to have the. Here's what I'd probably do. I wouldn't allow him to have the power field. Well, I'm allowed him to have all the other upgrades and even make it Mechanica and build the turbine into the steam engine of the suit because there's no reason why you can't wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, just we can just rule that like without specialized technology that's military secrets for Signar, you're not fucking doing it. Because there's only
I
one guy with it, and that's Darius, and he ain't sharing his secrets with a bunch of scumbag mercenaries.
honestly, my gut feeling is this is something I think might be okay, but not in heroic tier.
Yeah, no, seriously, like once you start hitting like veteran epic tier, yeah, fucking go nuts with that shit.
So my gut feeling is it's as written. No, you shouldn't allow it. But if later on you could have like house rule and ability for like advanced Ironhead stuff or Ironhead Warcaster, like an Ironhead Warcaster ability, which would require like arcane mechanic, like 3 or 4, and maybe some other prerequisite.
But what? Yeah, if
And
he wants to
that
take Ironhead and start stomping around in Ironhead armor, fine, but don't give him the excuse me the
the
power
power
field.
field or the other sort of defense reductions that come in that are built into the Warcaster armor once powered.
Yeah,
And
well,
bonded
he
to.
wouldn't have the power field or any of the other shit. So yeah, that
Well,
would
it's
be.
just, I'm just like I'm talking about like
It's
like
not Warcast armor, is what I'm saying.
right.
Is he could power other Mechanica off the steam engine. I'd probably allow that if he built a turbine into
Yeah,
it.
sure. If you want to build a turbine into it and then add other runes to it, probably okay.
But like the power field and all the other crazy shit, I'd probably just allow.
But yeah, he'd have to pay to actually build it into again, I would personally say that it's that a lot of what he's trying to do is probably scale is probably a more appropriate for epic and for veteran and epic tier.
Yeah, I'd probably justify it in saying that it requires a considerable amount of research. And while it's been shown to be possible, Signar has a Warcaster in it, and you could probably adapt some of the Iosin shit because their Warjacks all have power fields.
Right.
It's going to take a lot of research that he's not going to be able to achieve until veteran or epic tier.
Yeah, something like that. So that's our take on it. But it's again your game, and if you can think you can find a way to balance it, fine. But yeah, I honestly, it seems like it's basically. Don't be afraid of telling him. Okay, part of the problem is this is going to be overpowered, and it's going to make you a little bit too central. If you're willing to wait till, but basically, if you compromise and say, yeah, but I can see this happening in like veteran tier or something like that with certain prerequisites.
Yeah. And not the least of which should be a lot of his downtime spent researching and experimenting, dumping money into that research and experimentation.
I'd agree with that. So yeah, that's going to do it for this week, though. Sorry for the somewhat disjointed show. As I said, I took a nap that I wasn't planning on, so I'm kind of a little
It took
scatterbrained.
me longer than usual to get focused,
Yeah, we
as
did.
focused as I ever get.
Yeah, so this is not the most focused of shows we've done, and sort of an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah.
So apologies for that, folks. I hope you enjoyed it, though. Anyways, we'll be back next week with more talking about movies. Hopefully, we'll be more coherent and
Yeah,
make more actual points. I think we sort of spent this week was just talking about we like this movie, we didn't like this movie, and I sort of want to do more than that next week. Hopefully, with whatever we talk about.
Well, yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll actually talk at least half an hour beforehand.
Yeah. Whereas we just sort of went, "Oh fuck, it's time." Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you all had fun. We'll see you guys next week. We record the show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern here on twitch.tv/MechaGM. We try to set time at the end of each show to answer viewer questions. If you've got questions for us, or if you've got feedback, positive or constructive criticism, either or if you've got show topic suggestions, we love those too. If you got any of that stuff, you can email us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com, or you can post them on our forums, which you can find at mechagm.forumer.com. I tweet out when we're about to go live for the show, which you can keep an eye on my Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is at MechaGM. So if you got to get in contact with us, one of those three ways is probably the best way to do it. If you're watching the show on YouTube and you like the episode, or if you like the other episodes, feel free to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Old episodes can also be found archived on mechagm.blogspot.com. Yeah, that's it. That's all of the
Yeah, I
stuff.
think that's.
That's the whole
Yeah.
suite of stuff. Woot. Got through it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, humans.